Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, I want to talk about Minecraft structures. Most of them inside of the game are not worth going to, and they're only really worth going to if you are adventuring around and you come across one. Now inside of Minecraft 1.20, they did make it so they're a little bit more worth it with different structures having smithing templates. But smithing templates can be duplicated, meaning that once you have one, then there isn't really a point to go back to the structure. And today, I have been working on a mod that changes that. Now, I do quickly just want to throw a disclaimer. This mod currently can't be downloaded because I want to hear what you guys think of it first. I will then make some balance changes and also adjustments, and I'll release it in the foreseeable future. Now, there are about 20 structures inside of the game, but 2 of them can't contain chests, and that is the Swamp Hut and also the Ocean Monument. So they are not included within this category. But every other structure can contain some kind of chest, so all of them have been updated with this new item. Now to get this new item, there is about a 2.5% chance when you open any chest within the structure. So when I open this chest, there is a 2.5% chance I can get the item. Now they're rare because I want to encourage, but maybe that rarity could be increased slightly. I'm currently just teleporting around to different structures to see if we can find one that's naturally generated. But if I quickly just place this down and have a look, there is none inside that chest. So I have now given myself this chest right here, which basically just contains the loot table for the pillager outpost. So every time I place it, it will be randomly generating a new loot table. And there we go. You can see the amount of chests I have placed. Each one of these is obviously a double one, and both contain a loot table. And finally, in this chest right here, we have got the item for the pillager outpost. Now, every structure has a different one, which I will cover, but this is a rune. Now, the rune kind of acts like a smithing template, but it gives a buff rather than just cosmetic. So, for example, this one is cooldown reduction, and you can see it applies to any item with a cooldown. It can be found in pillager outposts, and then when applied, it reduces cooldown on items. So for example, if I was to grab myself ender pearls, because ender pearls have a cooldown on them, so this reduces the cooldown. So if I put it in the second slot and ender pearls in the first slot, I will take these. You can see it does also give it a nice fancy tooltip saying cooldown reduction rune. So now the difference between these is if I throw this ender pearl, you can see it has the cooldown where I can't use the item until that bar is gone. Whereas this one, there is no cooldown, so I can spam the ender pearls. This does also work for other cooldown items, for example, wind charges. So if I was to grab one of these and throw that in there with some wind charges, you can see once again it says cooldown reduction rune. And if I was to throw this one, you can see the cooldown. If I was to throw this one, you can see it has no cooldown. And every item with this rune does also share a category, so the cooldowns will be for every item you've basically runed. So let's now cover some of the other runes that you can get. Let's go through them one by one, also covering where they can be obtained. So first off, you have the fire resistant rune. This can be applied to any item. It's found in nether fortresses, and when it's applied, it makes the items immune to fire damage. So kind of like how netherite armor works. We then have the explosion resistant rune, which is found in woodland mansions. This makes items immune to explosion damage, kind of like how nether stars work. We then have cactus resistance. This one's found in desert pyramids, and this one makes it immune to cactus damage, meaning that if you die near a cactus, you won't lose any items. We then obviously have the cooldown one, which we've covered. We have a burn reduction rune, which this is found in ruined portals. It can only be applied to armor items, and it reduces the time you're on fire for. We then have the full reduction rune, and this can be applied to boots, and it can be found in trial chambers, and this one reduces full damage. Now before we cover some of the others, when adding these, I didn't want to take away from any existing feature in the game. So for example, I didn't want to take away from potions or enchantments. And yes, you could argue this one does, but it doesn't, and you'll understand why when I showcase what the thing does. The next 4 are rarity runes. They can be found in mine shafts for the common rarity. You then have the uncommon rarity, which can be found in ocean ruins. You have the rare rarity, which is found in buried treasures. And then you have the epic rarity, which can be found in strongholds. And once again, these just change the item's rarity to the variant of what one you use. We then have the gilded rune, which can be applied to armor items. This can be found in bastions, and it makes piglings passive when you are wearing it, kind of like how gold armor works. We then have the soft step rune, which can be applied to boots. This can be found in igloos, and this one makes it so you can walk on powdered snow, basically leather boots. We then have the disguise rune, which can be applied to helmets. This can be found in jungle pyramids. And when you apply this to an item, it disguises the player from looking at Enderman and also Creakings. We then have the block interaction rune, which this can be applied to tools and weapons, and it can be found in the trail ruins, and it increases the interaction range with blocks. We then have an entity one, which is an entity interaction, and this one can be found in villages, and it increases the interaction range with entities. We then have the luck rune, which can be found in shipwreck. This can be applied to any item with durability, and when applied, it increases the player's luck. Now, the final two are very overpowered, so I'm going to cover these. This one is the unbreakable rune. This can be found in end cities, and this one makes any item not take durability damage. So for example, if you applied this to an elytra, the elytra will never break, which is very overpowered. That's first off why it's found in end cities, because we wanted it to be end game. We didn't want someone to, for example, find it within a village. And then this final one is one that I think a lot of people may like, but this is a rune of soulbound. And this can be found in ancient cities, so once again, quite an end game related item. And this makes any items not drop on death. So for example, if I was to apply this to my sword, I will not lose my sword if I die. So let's now showcase some of these in action. I'm not going to showcase the rarity ones because they just change the rarity of the item, which is just the item's name. Now there is also this blank rune, which I'll cover in a second, because you can duplicate these runes, but duplicating them works very different to how smithing templates work. So let's throw the full reduction on these boots, and you can see this one adds 2 safe full distance, which once again, this makes it so you can walk on powdered snow. So let's first off show the powdered snow one. So if I was to grab myself some powdered snow and I was to place this down, if I didn't have the boots on, I could not walk on this. As you can see, I sink straight through. So if I now equip these boots, you can see I can walk on the powdered snow and I do not sink into it. I can still crouch to go into it, but I can also jump back above it. And once again, these are diamond boots, not leather boots. So that is pretty cool. Now, this next one is the full reduction. So how these full reduction ones work. If I was to build up by 4 blocks and I was to go in survival mode with no boots on, if I was to walk off this, I would take full damage. But now if I was to equip these boots, let's quickly just throw them on, and I was to now walk off this, as you can see, I take no full damage. And that is because my starting full damage is increased by 2 blocks. So if I go up 5 blocks, I can walk off this, and once again, no full damage. If I was to walk off this 6 block 2 pillar, I now take half a heart as if I was walking off 4 blocks. Next one we're going to showcase is the gilded rune, which if I throw this on a chest piece, you can see it's now gilded. So if I was to now go in survival mode, you can see the pigling becomes aggressive to me because I'm not wearing any armor. But if I was to equip this diamond chest piece with the gilded rune, and then I was to now spawn another pigling, you can see the pigling isn't bothered by me. And if I go up to it, I can walk through the pigling. The pigling doesn't care because I'm wearing this gilded diamond chest piece. So that is a really cool feature as well, because it means you don't have to wear gold armor when going to the nether. Now let's quickly just show the disguise one off. If I was to throw this inside of here and I was to summon myself a enderman, you will see, not wearing any helmet, the enderman will attack me if I look into its face, which you can see right there. So if I now equip the helmet and go in survival mode, I can look this enderman in the eyes, and you can see it is not becoming aggressive towards me. This is also the same for how creakings work. And you can see it's not because I'm looking at the back of its head, because if I look directly in its eyes, you can see it doesn't care. So if I quickly just throw this on a diamond chest piece, you can now see it's minus 0.5 burning time when worn. Now let's quickly cover the block interaction and the entity interaction before I cover soulbound. So how these work is if I was to pull it on my sword, you can see with the block one on this netherite sword. So for example, I cannot hit this grass standing here. But if I was to change this one, you can see I can now hit the grass. And you can see that by the hitbox. And the entity one is the same, but for entities. Now let's cover the soulbound, because this one I think is pretty cool. So here we go. I now have a load of random items. Let's now put soulbound on all of the armor. So let's do it on the leggings. Let's also do it on the boots, or that was the other way around, but it doesn't matter. Let's then also do it on the chest piece. And then let's also do it on the helmet. Now I also do want to have it on my pickaxe, because if I die, I want to keep the pickaxe on me. And let's also put it on a recovery compass, because if I die, I want to know where I died so I can go and get my stuff again. So there we go. You can now see that this full set of armor has the soulbound on it. and so does this recovery compass as well as this pickaxe. So when I die, I will keep this armor, I will also keep the pickaxe and the recovery compass. Everything else will drop on the ground as normal. So I've just set my spawn right here, so when I die, I can spawn back here. And if I was to now quickly just kill myself, you can see all my items dropped on the ground. But if I open my inventory, I have my armor, I also have the pickaxe, and I also have the recovery compass. And I can move these around in my inventory. They are not ghost items. I can take the armor off, I can re-equip it. And I can also equip it from my hotbar, which you can see it did do, it's just because I'm in creative mode. But then if I head over here, you can see all the items are on the ground that didn't have soulbound, so I can now pick these up again. That's all that I'm going to showcase. I think the other ones kind of make sense on how they work. Now let me quickly just talk about some changes that I'm currently looking into, as I'm still debating whether to make these changes or not. First of all, is making the items way more common within structures, because currently the 2.5% chance I think is a bit too rare, especially for multiplayer servers. I think maybe a 10% chance, at most about a 75% chance for them to be found. I think that makes way more sense, and maybe the percentage can change depending on the rarity of the structure, but also maybe the rarity could depend on how OP the rune is. For example, the soulbound rune will be a lot rarer than, for example, the common rune. Now the second thing I'm debating is how you apply runes. Currently it's just done inside of a generic anvil, which although I think it gives anvils more uses, I think it could use its own new table. But now let's talk about how you can duplicate these. I didn't want the duplication system to be pointless, so if you go to a trial chamber you never have to go back to another one, as I don't like that idea with the smithing templates. So let's quickly cover how you duplicate these. So to duplicate them, you need one of the one you want to duplicate. So let's say we want to make ourselves another soulbound. Now we need one that we want to void, so one that we maybe don't have use for. Let's say, for example, that could be the common rarity rune. So what we need to do to duplicate this is throw the one we want to basically void in a furnace, and this will give us a blank rune when it's finished smelting, which you can see right here. It smelts down into a blank rune, which don't have anything on it, and you can find in smelting runes. And then once you have yourself a blank rune, and also the rune you want to duplicate, you need to throw them both in a crafting table, and as you can see, I now have two of the soulbound ones. Now, the good thing about this is you can't use this to abuse it, because for example, if I now have the two, if I was to throw this one back in there to smell it down, which you can see I am now doing, we will obviously get a blank rune back, and then throwing this inside of a crafting table again will just grant me two back. So you can't use it in a way to create more runes than what you had previously. I think making them duplicate this way makes it so you have to go to at least two structures within the game. But anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought of this mod in the comments. Once again, if you have any balance changes, feedback or suggestions, do let me know, and then I'll make them over the next few weeks, and I'll release this in the near future. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in another one very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.